right, first dish. Let me get some kind of I don't have any coverings. We don't mind. We'll just put it out here for you. Now, the other method of making fine sauces is to make beef stock first. We've done this before together, but I want you to see this. The soup stock that we were going to make today, that we've already manufactured, I've made a whole pot for you, is made in this way. First of all, you roast the bones. You see these? These are bones that I bought from the butcher. Don't pay any more than about 29 cents a pound. If he calls them marrow bones and charges you 49 cents a pound, you call him a crook. 29 cents a pound is plenty. And then roast them in a 400-degree oven in a big open pan for about 2 hours, and they'll become toasty brown. Then throw them in a pot of water. Add 1 quart of water for each pound of bones, some chopped up carrot, celery, a little parsley, and yellow onion, skin and all, and then let that simmer for at least 12 hours. And you'll come up with very marvelous dark stock. There's no coloring in this. This is real beef stock. And that's what you want to use for basic sauce making. Now let's do a classic with basic sauces. And this is called a basic brown sauce. It comes from France. We're going to use the brown stock. Now don't let me confuse you today. I'm going to talk about brown sauce and brown stock. Brown stock is the soup that I made of the bones. Drained it, taken off the fat, you see. And brown sauce is what we're going to manufacture after we reduce the soup stock and add other ingredients. It's very delicious. All right, let's get started. I'll get rid of these bones. And in order to make a basic brown stock, we first want to get our pan hot here. Yes, put a little butter or oil into a large saucepan. And we're going to add I've got a little, half a stick of butter, or you can use about a quarter cup of olive oil. That'd be fine. We want to add a cup of chopped onions. We're going to make a mirepoix of vegetables. What that means is just a bunch of vegetables sauteed with some herbs and use it for flavoring dishes. And we're going to use about a cup of carrots. I have everything all ready here for you. I don't want you to watch me chop carrots today. We don't need that. And we're going to add a little bit of parsley, about 1/3 of a cup. Already this is colorful and lovely, isn't it? Isn't that beautiful? And then we're going to add a bay leaf. We're going to need some seasonings here, you see. A bay leaf. Wow, that's trying to find a whole one. That's not so hot. Well, that's all right. We're going to strain all of this out, so it really doesn't matter whether they're broken or whole or anything else. And about a teaspoon of thyme. That wonderful, wonderful flavor, which is terribly, terribly French. I grow thyme in my backyard in Tacoma. I don't know if you can do it in your yard, but it's easy for me. And I love this stuff. I have thyme and rosemary and a big bay tree. Oh, and some nights I come home from work and or come down from my office and I sit out in the backyard with a glass of sherry and I sit and smell all of these herbs. I figure that if you can't eat it, why bother growing it? My neighbor doesn't agree. He's a serious flower gardener, but there. All right, I'm sauteing now the onions, carrots, and the 2 herbs, bay leaf and thyme, and of course the other herb is the parsley. Now, in the meantime, while this sautés, I'm going to make a roux. And a roux, you remember, is half flour and half butter or oil. And I've cooked this one. Now, this is awfully cold. I made this ahead of time, but it'll work just fine. You see, what I've done is to sauté about half a cup of flour with about an equal amount of oil. And let it brown a little bit. You see by the color of my hand, this is no longer white. I don't want it burned. I want it, what's the color? I think it's almond. Isn't that it? Isn't that almond? It's almond to me. All right. Saute your vegetables until they're very tender. I'm going to hurry you along today because this stock takes, this sauce takes a couple of hours to make and the stock takes 11 hours to make, so we're talking about a couple days. And I'm not sure your set would last that long. Oh, all right. Put the half cup of butter and flour that you've toasted together into the pot after your vegetables have cooked and begun to brown a bit. We want them a bit tender. This is basic sauce and it's absolute necessity to a well-run kitchen, it seems to me. Now, to that we're going to add 2 cups of red wine. Here's where we get going on the wine. 2 cups of red wine. 1, 2. All right, so it's an estimate. Who cares? And we'll thicken that up. You see, that'll thicken right away. Look how red it is now. The colors are really vicious, aren't they? Isn't that wonderful? There we are. And now you see we've got a big thick mess here. And at this point, we're going to put in the stock or the brown soup that we've made. The brown soup goes next. All right? So hang on. I need a couple of quarts. And I have a big pot here that I made before you came. I worked all night on this stuff. There we go. A couple quarts of stock. There, 1, 2. I know this sounds like a lot of work, but I'll show you how versatile this stuff is. It's, well, for me, it's basic. All right, we'll stir that down, and we have to add a few more ingredients now. There we go. You see how that'll cook down by half. We're going to reduce that by half. But we need to add a couple tablespoons of tomato sauce to sort of make it stand up a bit with flavor. 2 tablespoons of tomato sauce and a little bit of pepper. Now, you notice I haven't put any salt in this because we're going to reduce it by half. And you have to be careful when you're reducing things because if they're salty to start with and you reduce them, then they're twice as salty as they should be. So you don't put salt in until the sauce is completely finished. But the pepper's all right because that's going to cook in flavor. So put in a little bit of pepper. Oh, maybe 1/4 a teaspoon or something. That'd be enough. Now cook this down. Bring it to a boil and then turn it down to a light simmer and cook it until it reduces by half. And that's going to be about, I suppose it's going to take you an hour and a half. No, this is not something that you come home and make at 5 o'clock and serve at 6. You're right. This is going to take some time. Time's already in the pot, sorry. Oh, that's bad. Don't put the salt in. Reduce this now by half, and then the last thing you do is to add 1/4 of a cup of sherry. We already have red wine in here, you see. But you add one, and I'm going to do this now because I want you to remember this. After the sauce is reduced by half, or the level is down by half, you see, then you add 1/4 of a cup of sherry, dry cooking sherry. No, not sherry with salt. Dry sherry that's drinkable. Sherry I would cook with. And then you'll add a pinch of salt, and the sauce is, I have some already made for you. I'll show you what you get. Then you strain this. You run it to a china cap, or, you ever seen a china cap? I have one here somewhere. See if I can find mine. It's a very strange device, and it really should not be called a china cap at all. But this is what the French call a china cap, and you use it for straining sauces. But I know of no one in China or any other country that has a cap that's shaped like this. So I don't know where they got the name. The French will name anything. You know that. It doesn't matter. In any case, strain the sauce out, and you're ready to go. I'll show you a batch that I've already prepared here. Wonderful stuff. I'll put this one aside somewhere here. And I have in my kettle, I've already prepared for you, some basic brown stock, and the French call this sauce. See how that's reduced and how thick it is? Sauce Espagnole, Spanish sauce. Don't ask me why they call it Spanish sauce. I've tried to figure that out. It makes no sense at all. But look what you can do with this. This has no solid meat in it, you understand. There's no solid meat in this at all. It's simply bone stock, cooked down with the vegetables or a mirepoix, and then thickened with a roux. A lot of wine, and it's cooked down, down, down. And look what you can do. For instance, if you'd like to have a really colossal dinner some night, put some of this gravy, this basic brown stock gravy, brown sauce, on noodles and bring it to the table. This is so rich that you don't need to serve them any meat. Once in a while, you should be able to get by with just noodles and gravy. You know, that's how the Eastern Europeans lived for hundreds of years. Gravy and noodles. Why not? Very good for you. That's a whole meal. It's totally nutritious. And there's no cost. Well, very little cost. A lot of time involved. But do this 1 day a week. Make sauces and stocks 1 day a week, and you're free to fly like a bird through the kitchen.